Ever hit that wall, like totally fried, but instead of actually, I don't know, doing something refreshing, you're just sucked into your phone or binging another show.
Right.
And then somehow you just feel worse, like more drained.
Oh, totally. I've been there. It's like the opposite of what you'd expect, right?
Exactly. So today, we're going to dive into this whole thing about hobbies, how they can actually help us get back, like reclaim that free time and just, I don't know, feel better overall. And to help us unpack all of this, we've got an expert with us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, why is it that we often feel like worse after those passive things we do in our free time? Watching TV, scrolling endlessly. Shouldn't relaxing be full relax?
Right, you'd think. But honestly, it's like these passive activities, while they might feel good in the moment, they don't really get our brains going in a way that actually helps us relax and recharge.
Interesting.
It's like they don't give us that sense of accomplishment or even just mental stimulation that, say, active hobbies do.
That makes total sense.
But
it's like, I don't know, the difference between like scarfing down a bag of chips and actually having a good, nutritious meal.
Perfect analogy. Both might fill you up for a bit, but only one truly satisfies,
For sure. And that satisfaction feeling, that's got to be connected to feeling fulfilled, right?
100%. When we're doing hobbies, we're actively using our skills, learning new stuff, and creating something, whether it's like a physical object or even just a feeling and experience. And that process really taps into our need for like mastery and growth,
So it's more than just staying busy. It's about choosing activities that actually like feed our minds and souls. Would you say that's true?
Exactly. And that's where the real power of hobbies comes in. There's this study, right, from UC, and they found that even just a little bit of time each day dedicated to a hobby can actually lower those cortisol levels.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right? For those listening who might not...
That's the one. So less stress, overall better mood, just from doing something you enjoy.
Wow, that's actually amazing. I've always loved photography, and I could definitely see how, like, getting lost and trying to get that perfect shot, it could really de-stress you. But, and I think I might hear some listeners thinking this too, who has the time for hobbies?
Oh, I hear you. Life gets nuts, but that's where I think we've got to kind of reframe how we think about hobbies.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Reframe. How do we do that?
Well, it's not like this extra thing crammed into our already packed schedules. It's more about being like intentional with our downtime. It's an investment, in ourselves, our well-being, just like you set aside time for exercise or healthy eating, right? Hobbies are the same.
That's a really good point. And it's not about adding more to our plates. It's about really using that downtime well.
Exactly. Even little pockets of time can make a huge difference. Let's say you're into painting but think, no way, I don't have hours to spare. Even just squeezing in 30 minutes a couple times a week, that can be huge.
Quality over quantity then.
Nailed it. Those bursts of creativity, of focus, it does wonders for us mentally, emotionally. We're more energized, more engaged in everything else we do. It's about finding a rhythm, where we're not always on.
I like that, a rhythm. It's not about like this hustle to be productive every single second.
Exactly. It's finding that balance. Now let's dig a little deeper into like the good stuff certain hobbies offer. Did you know, for example, that things like gardening, knitting, or even playing music, they've actually been shown to have like meditative qualities?
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. I've always found gardening to be super therapeutic. It's like my worries just kind of, I don't know, disappear when I'm digging in the dirt, helping my plants grow.
There you go. Something about connecting with nature like that, it's grounding, calming, and not just in our heads, there's actually science backing up the mental health benefits of those kinds of hobbies.
It's really wild when you think about it, like how something as, I don't know, simple as gardening can have such a big impact on how we feel.
It really shows you the power of like using our senses, connecting with something bigger than ourselves,
For sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned knitting, playing music too, but what about hobbies that are more like active, physically active, I mean, like dancing or sports?
Oh, yeah. Those are awesome, too. Not only do you get all those mental and emotional benefits we've been talking about, but you're also getting your body moving, which is huge for both physical and mental health, honestly. Exercise, no matter how you do it, it releases endorphins, and those are like those feel-good chemicals in your brain.
So it's like a double whammy of good stuff.
Yeah.
You're using your mind, you're challenging yourself physically, and just like reaping all these benefits for your overall well-being.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of hobbies. There's really something out there for everyone. It's about finding what, lights you up, what makes you feel energized and like you're really clicking.
I think a lot of people, though, they might be Like, scared to try new things, Like, what if I used to love to paint back in the day, high school, whatever, but now I'm worried I'll just be terrible.
That's where, cutting yourself some slack comes in. Hobbies aren't about being perfect, not at all. They're about the process, right? Learning, growing, enjoying the ride.
So it's more about the experience itself, not the end result.
Bingo. And you never know, you might actually shock yourself. Discover some hidden talent, some passion you didn't even know you had.
I like that. It's never too late to try something new or even just go back to something you loved, right?
Never too late. And don't be afraid to start small. Feeling overwhelmed. Pick one thing you're curious about, give it just 15 minutes a day, see how you feel after a week. You might be surprised at the difference.
It's about, actually deciding, okay, I'm doing this for me, for my well-being, carving out that time,
Exactly. Think about it this way. When you're stressed, when you're burned out, your productivity, your creativity, it all tanks, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
My best ideas definitely don't come when I'm feeling frazzled.
Right. But when you take time to recharge, to do things you genuinely enjoy, you're basically refilling your tank, creatively speaking. You come back to work, to your to-do list, feeling refreshed, energized, more focused.
Like hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I've spent some time gardening, working on a photo project, I don't know, I feel so much clearer, more motivated, like all the mental clutter is gone, and I can actually think straight.
That's it. And that's a big one, I think, that people miss. They see hobbies as separate from work, from responsibilities, but they're all connected.
Because when we take care of ourselves, we're better at handling everything else life throws at us. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's a positive feedback loop. Self-care fuels productivity, creativity, which then lets us actually enjoy our passions even more. It's a win-win.
That's such a good way to look at it. So instead of seeing free time as like this luxury or something to feel guilty about, we should really embrace it. It's part of a good life, a fulfilling life.
100%. It's not selfish to make your well-being a priority. It's essential.
It's like, that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup? We got to take care of ourselves first to really be there for everything else.
You got it. It's like realizing our well-being, it's not this separate thing. It's the base, the foundation for everything else.
This has been, I got to say, really eye-opening. You've given me a lot to think about. I'm actually feeling kind of inspired now to make some more time for things I enjoy.
That's awesome to hear. What kind of hobbies are you thinking about getting back to?
Well, I used to love painting. I haven't touched a brush in ages, but there's this part of me, it misses that feeling, just getting lost in creating something. Maybe it's time to dust off those old supplies and see what happens.
I love that idea. And hey, no pressure to make a masterpiece or anything, just the act of doing something creative just for you. It can be so therapeutic.
So true. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be good at our hobbies, but it's more about just the joy of doing them, right?
Exactly. And who knows, you might rediscover this passion you thought was gone, or even find some hidden talent you never knew you had.
Totally. I mean, we're always changing, growing, so our interests, those passions, it makes sense that those change too.
Exactly. And by staying curious, open to new things, that's how we keep that joy alive.
This whole deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I have a whole new way of looking at hobbies, how they can really make our lives better.
So glad to hear it. And remember, it's never too late, whether it's getting back to something you loved or trying something totally new. Even small steps make a difference.
So to everyone listening, if you're feeling that spark, ask yourself, what's that one hobby? The one you've always wanted to try or get back to. What's holding you back? Maybe it really is time to dust off those paintbrushes, dig out that telescope, finally sign up for that dance class. You never know what you might discover about yourself.